All right, hello Beaver Man channel subscribers and guests today. I'm very excited for this video. So give me the lowdown of what's going on right now. So over on my Beaver Geography channel, over the course of March, I wanted to do a March Madness event. So anyways, the event that we decided to do was a National Parks tournament. There's 63 national parks, and then you add in one national monument, and you've got a full 64 round bracket. Now that poll is going to be running over the next month, and we'll get a winner of what the fan vote is, like all the people voting on the polls, and we'll get a winner. But what I thought would be really cool for the second channel is to make my own bracket of my personal preferences. This isn't even my predictions, it's literally just what I personally would say. It's my vote for every single one. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, starting up top, we have Great Smoky Mountains versus American Samoa. This one's difficult because realistically you have Great Smoky Mountains it's popular, it's got the name recognition, but then American Samoa is just way cooler. So it's whether you go for that recognition or you go for American Samoa. I'll give Great Smoky Mountains. I don't think I can take them out first round. Theodore Roosevelt versus Mammoth Cave. I've been to both of these. I'm going to take Theodore Roosevelt. I think it's way underrated, and it deserves to go way farther than that. Shenandoah, Virgin Islands. Again, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did up here with this matchup. I'm not going to give it to the random island. That's probably way cooler. Indiana Dunes versus Congaree. Congaree may or may not be the most underrated park in the entire United States. It's actually insane. It's so beautiful there. Indiana Dunes might be the worst. Between this one, Cuyahoga Valley, Dry Tortugas seems like it's like literally nothing. It's like a fort, isn't it? I don't like either of these national parks. Neither of them are getting past any farther than this. But between these two, Badlands is way better. I love Badlands. Every time I've been there, it's so fun. There's so much to do. You can go off the trails. It's such a fun one to hike at. Everglades, Big Bend. This time I'm going to give it to Everglades, even though usually I'm going to go for a Western National Park over East, basically 9 times out of 10. In this situation, Everglades is just so beautiful. Acadia, Isle Royale. I guess Acadia, just because I haven't been to Isle Royale. But I don't love that Acadia has like 1 billion people. There's 12 billion people there. Zion versus our only national monument, Craters of the Moon. This one's an easy Zion, even though I love Craters of the Moon. I've never been to either of these ones, but a Hawaiian National Park is always going to win. They're just so beautiful. Between these two, again, it goes up against a cave. Hawaii Volcanoes is not going to lose that matchup. It's so beautiful. This is where my Western bias comes in. I got Channel Islands here. Joshua Tree, Great Basin. I think I got Great Basin. Great Basin is beautiful. There's so much to do there. I understand it's not as popular. There's a lot less going on, but Joshua Tree does not deserve to be a 3 seed in any world. Death Valley, Redwood. I'm not a big Death Valley person. Redwood is beautiful. That Northern California you just can't go wrong with. I've been to Saguaro more recently. That's a beautiful area. I mean, you can't argue with it. It's really great desert. I prefer that to Death Valley, I would say. But it beats out Petrified Forests. And then Grand Teton. Even though Alaska is absolutely beautiful, I love Grand Teton. It's very personal to me, one of my favorites. Over to the other side, Rocky Mountains versus North Cascades. Now, this one's not easy because Rocky Mountain has such a place in my heart, but North Cascades is so cool. I guess I'll take Rocky Mountain, but I'm not happy about it. Canyonlands take this. That's Utah. I mean, you just can't beat it with Colorado. Utah wins 9 times out of 10. Same for this one. Arches just got to move on. Back to the Western bias. Glacier is better than Voyagers. Voyagers, you can barely get places with your car. Glacier is absolutely beautiful. Gateway Arch I don't even have to read the other one. Now, New River Gorge versus Kenai Falls. I love New River Gorge. It was really pretty there. But you just can't beat Alaska with something in the east. Like, it's just not going to happen. Got a bad first round matchup, I'd say. White Sands, Wind Cave. Now, is this where a cave gets to the second round for me? I've never personally been to Wind Cave, but it doesn't seem like there'd be a ton to do in White Sands, so I'm going to give it to Wind Cave just because I think White Sands is a little weak. Yellowstone, Gates of the Arctic. I've never been to Gates of the Arctic. That is the least visited national park in the US, but I don't even care. I love it so much. It just seems so cool. That's one of my top places where it's like I'll probably never visit it, but I really want to go there. Yosemite got screwed against an Alaskan national park, but I still think it wins. Yosemite is so pretty. But then you've got Crater Lake over Sequoia. Now, this one is probably one of my favorite matchups in the entire first round. I am absolutely dying to know what all the people voting on the poll say about it, because I think they're going to go for Sequoia, but I love Crater Lake. It is so beautiful. It's one of my favorites as well, so it's up there. Capitol Reef versus Denali. Capitol Reef is such an underrated national park. It's so good, but you can't pick against Denali. It's definitely a must-visit one. In my future, I've got to get there at some point. Wrangell St. Elias versus Olympic. This one's not easy because you never want to go against Alaska. It's so beautiful up there. Olympic might be one of the most dynamic teams in this tournament. They've got so much going on. They've got the depth. They've got the mountains, the coast, the rainforest. They've got it all. Olympic moves on easily for that one. Bryce Canyon is beautiful. It moves on that one pretty easily. And then for this one, this is not easy, but I love the Pacific Northwest. Mount Rainier moves on over Black Canyon, the Gunnison. Even though I love both of them, I think Black Canyon's really underrated. Kings Canyon, Glacier Bay. I've never been to Glacier Bay, but I still think it beats King Canyon just off the fact that it's in Alaska, and you cannot go wrong with that. Now, this is a fun one because it's Grand Canyon, the #1 seed, versus Lake Clark, and I'm not going Grand Canyon. I've never been to Lake Clark, but Grand Canyon is entirely unimpressive when you put it against these beautiful, beautiful areas in Alaska. I'll die on that hill. So back to the second round, we have Great Smoky Mountains versus Theodore Roosevelt. This is where I think Great Smoky Mountains can move on. There's a lot going on there. I mean, obviously it's way too popular. There's so many people there, but it's a nice place. Shenandoah versus Congaree. This is where Congaree moves on again. I love Congaree. The one time I went there is so beautiful. Again, one of the most underrated national parks. That one can go far. You guys heard the praises that I said against Badlands. They beat Cuyahoga Valley easily. No doubt in my mind about that. And then Everglades. Bro, I love swamps. I'm a sucker for swamps. I need to go back to Everglades. I haven't been there since I was a wee lad, probably 2 feet tall, something like that. But you got to get back. It's beautiful there. It's so, so cool. Zion moves on this one. I love Utah. It's got a special place in my heart. Look, Zion's a contender. That's all I'll say right now. And then Hawaii Volcanoes wins this one pretty easily. Moving on, Redwood versus Great Basin. I don't know a ton about either of these, but I think that Northern California beats it out pretty easily. And then Grand Teton's going to take this one easily off of Saguaro. I love Grand Teton. Rocky Mountain National Park versus Canyonlands. That is just a dirty matchup. It's really, do you like Utah or do you like Colorado more? I think I got to take Utah. I think I can't go against Canyonlands there. There's so much to do. There's 3 different areas that you can go to. So many different hikes. I gotta go Canyonlands. Same thing with Glacier and Arches. Those are 2 of my favorite national parks, but you gotta go Arches. I mean, you just can't go against it. Glacier's beautiful. It would have been up there. That's a Final Four team for me for sure, but Arches just is not going to lose to that. And then we go up to these Alaskan ones. Kenai Fjords move on for sure. They're so beautiful compared to Guadalupe Mountains, even though they're both really nice. And then Wind Cave is not going to go up against Gates of the Arctic. That just upset the #1 seed. Now we go Crater Lake versus Yosemite. Yosemite is absolutely beautiful, but you can't go against Crater Lake. I love the Pacific Northwest. I love Crater Lake. So many great memories from there. That whole area is just beautiful, and it's not just the lake. There's so much to do. We went to Wizard Island. We hiked up that. It's beautiful. You get to go up in the caldera, eat some lunch. And the rim is just beautiful. There's so much to do on there. Then you've got Olympic versus Denali. Big contenders here. Denali may not be very visited, but it's absolutely beautiful. The tallest mountain in the U.S. But it's not going to go against the absolute dynamic team in Olympic. This 3 seed in Olympic that's hard to beat. It's really hard to beat. Mount Rainier versus Bryce Canyon. See, this is something I haven't had to deal with before. The Northwest versus Utah, because I love both of these areas. They're probably my favorite in the country. Mount Rainier. I'm going Pacific Northwest. I can't go against Mount Rainier. Bryce Canyon's probably my least favorite in Utah, even though I love them all. But I'll go Mount Rainier there. Lake Clark versus Glacier Bay. I'll go Glacier Bay. I think there's more going on there than Lake Clark. Lake Clark is a very obscure one. I believe it's in the western part of the state. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. I really don't want to hear. I'll look it up after this. Don't worry. Into the Sweet 16. Congaree takes it against Great Smoky Mountains. I just love Congaree so much. I need to go back there. There's not much going on. There really isn't. It's a small national park. There's nobody there, but you just get to walk in a swamp. It's so pretty. That's my #1. I suggest you all visit that park. It's an easy one to get to. Go visit it. And then, look, Everglades wins this one. It's these swamps take it in the east. I think that's what the east has to offer. If you want mountains, go west. But if you want absolutely beautiful, stunning swamps, go to these 2 national parks. Zion versus Hawaii Volcanoes. This one's not easy because I think Hawaii is just so beautiful. That's one of my top places. I just absolutely need to get to Hawaii, but for now, Zion wins. Zion's so beautiful. It's unmatched when it comes to the natural beauty, I think. And then I'm sorry, but it's the 1 and 2 getting to the Elite 8 in this region. Grand Teton wins. It's got a special place in my heart. Then over here, Arches versus Canyonlands. I'm going to go Canyonlands just because there's less people there. I think I enjoy a park that doesn't have as many people. I can do what I want. I don't have to deal with all the crowds. And Canyonlands just has more going on. There's more places to go. There's still arches there if you look. Druid Arch, Mesa Arch, all those types of things. And then the 16 seed, absolute Cinderella story is moving on. It's better than Kenai Fjords. Gates of the Arctic is just so cool. I really want to get there so bad, but you can only get there with plane or something, I heard. So I don't know. And then this is a dirty matchup. Those northwestern national parks that I do not want to pick between, but Olympics got to move on. I'll say it again. They're so dynamic. They're so diverse. a rainforest in the US. That was one of my favorite things ever when we visited there. I thought it was so cool that we can find that in that country. And then you go to the coast. There's more stuff going on over there. It's so cool. Glacier Bay versus Mount Rainier. I think it's the Pacific Northwest wins again. I've never been to Alaska, so it's a hard one to go for Glacier Bay when I don't know a ton about the national park. I've been to Mount Rainier. I think I have to pick for it. And then into the Elite Eight, we've got 4 matchups in this round. What's my top Eastern? I think you all know what I'm going to say. I got Congaree in the Final Four. I just can't pick against it. It's so cool. Everglades is more diverse. There's probably more going on. So I'm sorry. This is more of a personal list. These are my personal favorites, and Congaree absolutely is better than Everglades, in my opinion. Grand Teton versus Zion. I love these national parks. They're both probably top 5, top 6 for me. I'm happy they made it this far, but Zion is just better when it comes to natural beauty. There's better hikes. The Narrows is just insane. Now, Gates of the Arctic versus Canyonlands. I think Canyonlands got lucky. I think it beats Gates of the Arctic. There's so much going on in Canyonlands. I mean, I've been there probably 3-4 times, and there's always new stuff that we can do, new hikes that we can go on. I'm not really worried about that. Gates of the Arctic, obviously, I haven't been there, so I can only take it so far. It got an easy, I mean, it had easy matchups. Then finally, Mount Rainier versus Olympic. I think you guys know which wins here. Olympic wins. I mean, it just keeps going with the diversity. That's somewhere where I absolutely need to get back to. And when you're looking at 2 in the same state, like Mount Rainier and Olympic, Mount Rainier is pretty. It's got good views, but Olympic has so much more. It has Mountain Olympus that you can look at, but then you can also go to the coast. You can go into the rainforest. Mount Rainier doesn't have that to offer. So into the Final Four then, we have Congaree versus Zion. This is where finally the Western bias comes into play. Zion just has to win there. I love Congaree, but I think once it gets out of the East and it has to go against Zion, it doesn't even hold a candle to what Zion can do, what Zion has to offer. Zion has diversity, and I think any given night somebody can put up 50 points for that team. Congaree just doesn't have that to offer. They're a scrappy team. They know how to get to the Final Four, but once you go against a team like Zion that I'd compare to maybe a Duke, it just doesn't stand a chance. And then we go to the other side. We have Olympic versus Canyonlands. I think you know where I'm going to go here. Canyonlands had an easy way to get to the Final Four, but Olympic, look, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. It's diverse. It's unmatched. When it comes to the Pacific Northwest, which I love so much, I think that's the best of the best. That's as good as it gets. And then finally, into the national championship, Zion versus Olympic. It comes back to the best of the best from the Pacific Northwest and the best of the best from Utah. Now, you might think you know where I'm going here, but I'm going Zion. I've only been to Olympic once in my life, and Zion I've spent more time at, and while I was there, it's just absolutely insane. I mean, it's a beautiful park. I've been on the Narrows a couple times, I believe, and that's probably my favorite hike in the entire world. And there's so much to go there. Going into Springdale, looking around, the red rocks that you see are just insane. And I know it's not as diverse as Olympic. It doesn't have the same things to offer, but the rock formations you see in Zion is enough to beat it. So that's what I've got. Thank you all very much for watching my tournament. Make sure to go over to the Beaver Geography channel and vote on all the polls that are going on now. There should be one posted by now, and it's going to be going on for the next month or so. So tune in if you want to make your voice heard, and give me your thoughts on what you think of my personal preferences, if you like them, if you hate them. So thank you for watching.